Hey, Brian.
Good afternoon, Todd. How are you today?
Good. How's life in Colorado?
Life in Colorado is very good. No complaints at all. Beautiful day again today. I get a little rain
It-
tonight like we do kind of in the afternoons here. So
really? I
yeah,
didn't know Colorado was kind of like Florida as far
yeah,
as.
it doesn't last as long. And, most days it's not that consistent. But boy, when it comes in with a pretty good storm.
Yeah. That's awesome. Now,
Yeah.
I understand heat's a little bit of an issue out there.
Yeah, I'm starting to get warm a little bit. And some places, certainly plenty of fires going on around here and stuff, as there are every season. So that's a challenge for Colorado. But life around
Yeah.
Colorado Springs has definitely been pretty good these days. So.
Well, good.
Yeah, how's things
Yeah.
for you in your neck of the woods?
We're not getting quite the heat that y'all are. I should say you all because I grew up in Michigan, so that just I'm used to not saying y'all, but I've been down here 20 years, so
That works.
it catches up to you.
I served enough in enough different places that I can follow along with y'all. What I didn't realize was y'all isn't plural, because I had somebody come in one day and said, "How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How y'all doing?" I said, "I thought y'all was plural." And they said, "No, that would be all y'all." I'm like, "Oh,
All
okay,
y'all.
now I understand."
That's it. And you can't ask for a Coke because every soda, every pop, whatever you want to call it, is a Coke. You just
Exactly.
have to say, "Would you like a Coke?" Yeah, give me a Pepsi. Okay. So it is what it is. But
Yeah, my experience down Montgomery, Alabama matches that. So
apps, yeah. Now that's the deep South. Because here in Nashville, we've got, man, I think they said like 1,000 people moving in a day, or I mean, it's some unreal number, and it's just it's hard to keep up. So we're not really deep South anymore. We're much more of a melting pot, and we've got a lot of people coming in from California because we're a tax-free income state.
oh, okay.
And so you can buy a 1,000 square foot house in California for 900,000. You come here and you're living in a mansion at 900,000.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Oh yeah.
yeah, so it's they have billboards up like "Welcome to Nashville," and my wife says, "Take them down." we got too
That's
many.
right. We've got
Too
enough
many
people
people
there.
as it is.
That's right.
I think I saw Thomas hop on. Thomas, you with us?
Yes, sir. How's everybody tonight?
Well, we are doing good, and you're what?
6
what's your
hours ahead
time?
of Eastern Standard Time, so it's about 10:20 here.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you cutting into your evening for us. So
My beauty sleep.
that's right. That's it.
It's all good. Good to see you guys. Glad you're taking part in this as well.
Absolutely. So you settling in?
I bought a car and waiting on a house, so making progress. Starting to feel like a little bit settled. My family arrives on the 30th of June, so once they get here, it'll go faster. So
That'll feel a little bit better, won't it?
yes, absolutely. Yeah. I can stop eating by myself because the Italians all just look at me and they're like, "Oh, poor America, eating by itself." Oh,
Oh, that's funny.
yeah. So it's good. It's good. Job's kicking in a high gear. I'm happy about that. And
Good.
it's very, very hot all of a sudden. Actually, not that hot, but very humid here. We have this strange African kind of sandstorm that pushed up over most of Southern Europe. And so the humidity is probably about 90%, and it just went up over the last 2 or 3 days.
Oh,
It's still
wow.
not that hot. It's only about 85 degrees, but the humidity is off the charts. But the
Wow.
humidity, every night it rains, but just for about 5 minutes, and it comes down with this like sand, totals your car.
Oh. Wow.
Better than Napoli.
Yeah. Well, that's we don't hear about that kind of stuff here stateside. So
It's all good. Part of the beauty.
yeah. Now, have you met Brian Tichenor?
No, I don't
Or
think
know
we
of
have.
him? Okay, he's another one of our presenters today, and he's in Colorado, so they're getting the heat portion of it. So.
And you're in Nashville, you were saying? And how's it
Yeah.
there?
You know, we've got the remnants and leftover of a tropical storm coming up from I want to say it was north of South Carolina, kind of coming over. So yeah, it's that helps to kind of knock the heat down a little bit, but it's humid as always, for sure. So
Todd, are you able to resend the link to Frank Sinclair? I think I just did too, but just in case, if that, he texted me and said he was having trouble with.
that'd be a bad deal, since he's the one that heading us all off. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, so Brian, if you could let him know, I just resent it.
Okay, perfect.
Do we have any data on the folks that are attending tonight? I think you said we were going to have like 70 people, but do we know if they're I don't know. Do we know anything about them?
No, there's 80, I think 5 that had registered. And of course, we still got a couple of minutes before we actually said it was going to start. So
There we go.
my understanding is most of them are going to be TSMs. They're in the transition process as and that's why they're joining us. So
Yeah, I was just looking to see if we had any context, like how many of them might be retiring and how many of them might be finishing a 4 or 6 year enlistment kind of thing. If we knew anything of that level of detail, but it's okay if we don't.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, that is a good question, but I didn't want to get too in depth on it, because it's that's definitely something that I think will be something that, and actually we can maybe even poll that during the Zoom, if I can pull off all the other stuff I'm trying to do. But I don't know, Brian or Thomas, are you able to create polls on your end? Because I think I've made you both, I believe I've made you both co-presenters.
Okay, but make what? I'm sorry, what did you ask?
Let me see, reactions, chat.
Thomas, I was just checking to see if you're able to, because that would be a good poll question. And I've made both you, or all the presenters are going to be co-hosts. So I think y'all will be able, or you will be able to create a poll. And so that's good information. Oh, Dave's on. Glad you could join us, Dave.
Yes, sir. That'll be here.
I think we're just waiting for Frank, I guess, was having a little bit of a hard time.
Oh, Frank's here.
Oh, there he
Yep,
is.
Frank's on now.
Yep.
All
Jane's
right.
here too.
Hi, Todd.
Jane, how are you?
Doing just fine, thanks.
The apparently there's quite a bit of excitement about having you on so that you can share all things VSO.
Wonderful. You've got a little shake to your camera. Are you
Yeah,
using that?
yeah, I'm trying to keep that
Well,
to a
sometimes I
minimum.
find that if you put a stack of books or something behind it, it doesn't have that wobbleness to it.
well, that's the problem. I've got it on a stack. So that's why it's there we go. All right. So the presenters, you're able to you should be able to post a poll, and I know Thomas and Brian talked about one that might be a good idea. So we'll wait about another minute or two. I want to honor everybody's time. We did have about 85 register, so we still have some that can join as things go on. So, but Frank, you're first up. I hope you know that. So bring all you got, man. Frank, you there?
Yep,
There,
I am
yeah, there
right
it is.
here, my friend.
All
So
right.
was that my cue to start or?
No, we're gonna wait about another minute or two. Just kind of give everybody a chance to join. I was mentioning we've got about 80 some that had registered, so so we'll just wait another minute or two. And you and Brian are in the same town, right?
Yeah, we're
Same
both in
area?
Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he was saying things are weather's interesting. Not as bad as some that we've heard, but I guess the temperature is a little bit interesting.
Yeah. I love
Could be a
Colorado.
thunderstorm here in a little bit in my neck of the woods in Colorado Springs. So I hear the thunder starting to rumble out there. So
Hey, your neck of the woods. That's a southern. That's
there you
Alabama.
go. See, I got this. I'm well-rounded, being 28 years in the Air Force. I've been a lot of different places. I was able to draw on a lot of different things there.
You know what they say. That's finer than hair in a frog's leg. So if you start saying stuff like that, then we know that you're really from the South.
That's right.
Or the Claudia, honey child, I do declare.
There you go. There you go. Jane, you've been stationed somewhere down south, or you just?
No, my father was a Confederate. Actually, his family did fight on the Confederacy, but
Okay.
my mother was a Yankee.
Okay.
So I was brought up in both sides of the house. One grandma would pinch your cheek and the other one would swoop you up in a big hug.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, we'll give it about one more minute. While we're waiting, I'm going to go ahead and just give a couple of the not ground rules, but just guidelines so that everybody kind of knows what we have going on. For everybody that's joining us, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to give each presenter 5 minutes. Now, listen, Jane and Frank and Thomas and Dave, and Brian, they have so much to share. There's no way they can get it all in 5 minutes. Our only goal is to basically take a tap and distill it down a little bit. It doesn't replace tap, but just, hey, if you have 5 minutes, Jane, VSO, what would you say? That's her role today. You're going to be able to reach out to all of us on LinkedIn. If you want to get more information, you want to get set up one-on-ones. Some of them I know we've got follow-up Zoom calls that they're gonna make available. I'm gonna send out an email to everybody just recapping what everybody has stated, what everybody's talked about. And so don't necessarily worry about trying to get everything or even who they are, because we'll go ahead. I'll send you out all the contact information on that. But because we only have a 30-minute time frame, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to just have any questions at the end. So write down a question that you have for Jane or for Frank with him starting anything like that. And then if you need to drop off, feel free to drop off. But then we'll have about a 10-minute time frame for questions and answers after that. And then basically, with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. And I do have one thing I will say is I do have a little watch that I'm gonna so that y'all can kind of keep track of what you're doing and when. So go ahead, Frank.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Frank Sinclair in not so sunny Colorado Springs, Colorado. Air Force veteran, originally from North Carolina, so I know the Southern lingo as well. So what I wanted to talk about today in the transitioning phase is moving from a really one life to another. The communication that's involved in that, the mindset that's involved in that, what we're accustomed to. I know for me, moving from the military to civilian sector was an incredibly difficult transition because I was really accustomed to being told where to go, when to go, how to go, looking like my other brothers and sisters, dressing like them, all of the things that were so, that we had in common, what we needed to hold in common. And to me, the biggest thing was trying to capture a vision, because a vision that you have in the military is so grand and grandiose that coming into civilian life, things can seem rather small and really kind of insignificant, really, as you go in and think about, I'm in here trying to earn a paycheck, trying to support my family, et cetera, et cetera. I'm transitioning. My leadership role doesn't seem to be as valuable. Who I am as a person, my identity is being really challenged in this transition. So trying to figure out who you are in that big scheme when you had that incredible, compelling vision before that would push you forward. Now it just doesn't seem quite as important. And a lot of times we don't feel quite as important in that transition as well. So I just wanted to tell you guys, first of all, thank each and every one of you for your military service, for serving us in the country. Try to keep a mindset of a vision that you can create, even if it's a personal vision for yourself as you transition into a civilian life and work. Keep it grand, keep it grandiose, keep it big, even if the people around you aren't encompassing that themselves. Try to operate from a place that you know who you are. One of the things that I find in life here is that people want to be their best selves, but often we don't know who we are. And so it's hard to become your best self when you hadn't discovered really who you are. And once you come out of the military, it seems like there's a rediscovery process that's happening for you and with you, and discovering who you are, why you matter, and what your place is again in the world. The P word is so important in this transition. The P word is patience. And I know no one likes that word, but it is so incredibly It's so incredibly important that you're patient with the process. Another key word, patience with the process as you're transitioning from one thing to another. All that you are, all that you've built in your identity and who you are is not diminished in this process, even though it may feel that way at times. Stay strong in all that you've been built up to. My part is not very informational. Hopefully it's a little bit inspirational to help you know that you are our nation's finest. And the transition from one place to the other, there's a place for you. Even when you feel like there's no place, there's opportunity for you. And there's a big community of cheerers out here who have gone through what you've gone through and want to see you become the best that you can be as you transition out of one space into another space. That's what my place on earth is to help my transitioning brothers and sisters as they're coming out to see where they belong, help them find out where they belong, get with someone that can help walk with you in that process, that can help you manage the journey forward to where you belong. Thank you for listening.
All right, Frank, you must have your own clock on there. Because you were there it is. That's awesome. All right. Hey, Jane, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and go ahead.
Sure enough. Hi, group. Chris, very funny, patience now. But I am a retired County Veteran Service Officer. I am also retired Sergeant First Class from the Army Reserves. 4 DD-214s, 8.5 years of active duty time. So I speak the language. My main platform for reaching out to folks is on LinkedIn. So if you are on LinkedIn, find me. I'll send you a bunch of links to tools that you need to have as reference material for the future, not only your immediate transition, but down the road, if you're a caregiver for an older veteran, you might be able to help them get some of the VA pension. And people will say, well, I get my military retirement. No, that's DOD. This is VA. So you can actually marry the two programs up. Just like the widows can marry DIC, which is their compensation if the veteran passes from something service related. So never discount that VA is available to you. Okay. When you first come out of service, you have 5 years of healthcare. Great. But why do you need it? You've got your other insurance. Well, you need to go in at least once a year. They're going to be looking for things on your physical that most physicals won't look for. If you've been over in the sandbox, you've been exposed to the talcum powder sand and things like that. You've been exposed to asbestos, the burn pits, all that kind of stuff. So they're going to look at your respiratory system a lot closer. If you've been stationed in certain bases, some of our older veterans, Camp Lejeune from 53 to 87, they were exposed to toxic water on base. So the carcinogens, they're looking for different cancers and stuff. And that includes the family members. So that's why VA is so important to know. Often we are generational, I being third generation for my family. So what I know can benefit an older veteran. So please get a hold of me. When it comes to transition, it's never too early to start. You have to start thinking about finances. If you have a particular place you want to live, what does it cost to live there? And with the recent COVID thing, what's the need to have 6 months or more of savings set aside to cover yourself? What does that look like in San Francisco? What does it look like in the township of Manitowoc? Believe me, my house costs a lot less than you'll find any apartment in San Diego. But I have half an acre of land too. So you need to think about those things. You need to think about insurance, survivor benefit, all that kind of stuff, and education. If you know where you want to land, what are your state benefits? As a CVSO, I used to be able to educate veterans about the benefits, and then help them apply. And I had all the telephone numbers. I could call somebody and say, hey, could you pull that application out? The guy needs to really get registered for school this week, and things like that. So your CVSO is important. As you transition, find the local Veteran Service Officer representative. I'm going to ask you to get a pencil and paper, because in a little bit, I'm going to give you that link to how to find your one at home. If you know you're going home, or you know the area you want to live in, then you could pick one that's with the same organizations where you're starting. The transition to the afterlife will be a lot easier. So what is your CVSO going to do? They're going to hook you up with your federal benefits, your state benefits. They're going to know the local community benefits. If you have a special needs child, who's going to get a hold of the Department of Vocational Rehabilitation or adaptive employment services for your special needs child, things like that. They're going to have all that local stuff for you. So you're going to want to go to www.va.gov/OGC/ oh, give me the stupid thing. APPS/accreditation/index ASP. But if you get a hold of me on LinkedIn, connect with me. I'll send you this and all the other links to your VA information. Thank you so much. And thank you again for your service.
Frank and Jane, you're killing it on the time. Great job. All right. Brian.
All right, here we go. I appreciate that. I'm going to get just a little bit more specific, but I'm not going to provide a ton of detail. I'm going to give you a lot of things to think about. And then if you want to reach out to me, I'd be happy to schedule a one-on-one to talk about any of these topics more in depth. So for myself, 28 years of service in the Air Force, space and missile guy by trade. Just retired about 1.5 years ago and ended up in mortgage lending. So I love helping folks with VA loans. So here's some things to think about as you transition with regard to your VA loan. So if folks don't know the benefits, number one, generally there's no down payment needed. You can borrow 100%, but of course the house must appraise for that amount. A lot of folks think that you have to have a pretty high credit score. Generally, most banks can go down to about 620 credit score these days. Another huge benefit, no private mortgage insurance. And again, if you're not sure what that is compared to a conventional loan, be happy to chat with you about that, but that's a huge benefit. These days, generally, the VA loans have better interest rates. So if folks have told you that's not true, they're wrong. It is true. For the most part, VA interest rates are better than conventional rates these days. And going back to chatting with your veteran service organization, if you get the disability rating, your VA funding fee can be waived. So that's an excellent benefit for VA loans if you have that. Now, some things to consider as you're transitioning. Are you retiring or are you separating? If you're staying in the area, either one of those, then possibly you want to consider purchasing a home more than 1 year out so you can qualify on all your current benefits. If you have less than 1 year, or if you're planning on moving, that's a little more of a challenge. So one of the things, if you want to buy a house before you move, generally the VA requires you move into the house within 60 days of closing the loan. Now there's some exceptions to that. A spouse can move in if you want to buy a house 1 year out or something like that. So there's some opportunity there. You can kind of work within the rules, but still take advantage to your own benefit. I've had folks be told that once they retire, they probably won't be able to qualify on their retired pay. That's not true. There's plenty of folks who can get qualified on your retired pay, but of course you have to have your finances in order. So that's where we're talking to someone like Todd had enough in time to help you get your finances in order to make sure you're ready to get qualified on your retired pay. Can do that if you're retiring, of course. Now, job offers. A lot of folks think that if you haven't been in a job for 2 years, you're not going to be able to use that income for a loan. Again, also not true. If you have a job offer that's unconditional, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky, if you have a little qualification statement on there that you must, get your top secret security clearance or something, then that's not an unconditional offer. So that makes it a little more challenging. So you can work with your employer to see if they can get you an unconditional offer. Entitlement, switching subjects now. A lot of folks think you can only have one VA loan. Again, not true. If you have only used a portion of your entitlement, and the amount of entitlement you can use these days is, the numbers don't work quite like this. There's some magic math that happens in the VA in the background, but today it's $548,250. And if you have a loan that's using up some of your VA, or if you have a VA loan that's using less than that amount, then there's an opportunity to use the remainder for a new VA loan, with you having to put a portion of the, any balance over the amount. So again, if you're looking for a second VA loan, it gets detailed. I'd be happy to have a conversation with anyone to talk about how those work. A lot of folks think you can only get a loan for that $548,250. I know someone who purchased 100% VA loan, no money down, $1.75 million home. Now you have to be able to qualify for it, so it's not easy to do. Don't get me wrong. You still have to qualify through whatever lender you're going through. But yeah, you're not limited as long as your entitlement is completely free. So now on that note, your entitlement being free, if you currently have a VA loan, but you're not going to retire for about a year, and you know you might want to use your VA loan to buy a bigger house wherever you're going, you might consider converting your current loan to a conventional loan if you plan on keeping the house and renting it out. Not a bad thing to do before you retire, to free up your entitlement so you can buy more house wherever your ultimate retirement spot is. Let's see, refinances. Some folks don't know about refinances. I think most folks have probably heard about the EARL, interest rate reduction refinance loan. Great opportunity to get a lower interest rate. So again, if you're over 3.5% or 4% these days and you haven't talked to a lender, you need to find a lender to reach out and talk to. Interest rates are still historic low, and that's an opportunity to save money. If you plan on keeping your house, thank you, cash out refinance is always an option. You can get up to 90% loan to value. And then the final point, again, just tidbits for thought. A lot of folks think you have to buy a single family home. You can buy a multifamily 2 to 4 unit home. You can buy condos. You can buy manufactured houses. You can even get construction loans. So if any of those topics piqued your interest, I will post my link here. You can reach out to me and I would be happy to set up a one-on-one and have a conversation, answer any questions I can about VA home loans. Thanks, Todd.
Whew. I was going to say, Ryan, that was a pleasure to watch right there. Thomas.
All right, I'm up. I'm coming to you live from Bellinopoli in Naples, Italy, and I'm going to use the Italian way of organizing this. So that means I'll probably be all over the map, but being that I'm a former naval aviator, I'll end up talking about myself at the end. So first I want to say thanks to Todd for putting this all together. I think Brian's spot on with the VA home loans. It's one of many ways to get rich from your service. Definitely take advantage of that. I just did whatever the VA IRRRL refinance is. I don't know what it stands for, but it got me a really great rate with almost no fees. I thought Jane's spot on with all of her information for the VSOs and helping you get through particularly the VA processing. Absolutely. And Frank, of course, your comments about, sort of finding, keeping, maintaining, sustaining yourself throughout this whole process is perhaps the biggest challenge. So I think your comments thus far have been right on. The first thing I'd like to tell everybody who's listening is just relax. Take a minute, take a deep breath, look at all the other knuckleheads, some on here, some from your service time. We've all made it through, right? We've all made it through, and you will too. So just relax. There's a lot of information thrown at you. It's all new. Everybody's got a demand on your time. Everybody thinks you should do this. Everybody thinks you should do that. Take a deep breath. Whether you're completing one enlistment or if you're completing one, commitment, obligated commitment as an officer, or if you've committed an entire career in your life, like some of us, relax. You've made it through the hardest part, and now you just need to get through the transition to whatever comes next, and that's largely up to you to determine. So in order to do that, you're going to have to go through your services out processing. Whatever the buzzword bingo acronym is for that this week, we used to call it TAP, Transition GPS, I don't know, all those other things. Remember, that's for the service. It's really not for you. Hopefully you'll get something out of it. I got very little out of it. If you get the chance to attend, there was one course that was actually pretty good called the Rulin Seminar, REUHLIN. I think off the top of my head, you can Google it, comes up. It's generally for retiring folks and generally for retiring officers, sorry. But what I got out of that were three things. You need to pick one of the three to be your priority as you're getting out. Is it your location, your vocation, or your income? Now, I didn't know any of those three, but it was nice to be able to frame your thoughts and your discussions on trying to narrow down that triangle. If you could at least narrow down your locations to one or two, your vocations to 1, 2, 3, or 5 different things you might want to do when you retire, and your necessary income. So I thought it was a good framework discussion. And there was a whole, they give you a book, but there was a whole another chapter in the Rulin book that they give you that really was, again, a good framework for a discussion with your spouse, because you're not going to go through this alone, which goes on to my third point. There's a lot of people out there offering a lot of wonderful services for veterans, for transition, to learn this, to do that, all this other stuff. You're not going to go through this alone, but to help weed through all those different resources, take advantage of the people that are here today, take advantage of your cohort of other people who are attending, who are going through this at the same time as you are, and talk to them. Get on LinkedIn, get on Facebook, whoever. Talk to your former mentors, people you've served with, people in your church, people in your community. Again, spouses, if you've got one, not to say that I do, if you've got an ex-spouse, you need to talk to them too, because you need to start managing everyone's collective expectations, including your own, about what's going to come next. The fourth item on my list is I need to recommend somebody. Like Jane said earlier, if you're not writing this down, please look up a guy on LinkedIn. His first name is Kirk, K-I-R-K, and his last name is Windmuller, W-I-N-D-M-U-E-L-L-E-R. And if I get a chance, I'll put his LinkedIn bio or LinkedIn website in the chat. He has a slide on there that I call everything the military won't teach you in your transition GPS course. It's one page and it's got a timeline that goes across the middle. He starts 2 years out. Everything on the top is all the stuff you need to do to get out of your service. And everything on the bottom is everything you need to do to prepare you to get out of the service. It's generally made for retiring senior officers and senior enlisted, but it doesn't necessarily only apply to us. That's just who Kirk is, and that's who he wrote it for. But even if you're finishing, a 4-year enlistment or a 6-year enlistment, it would still be applicable to you as you walk through that timeline. Some of the things would be not applicable, but I swear it's the best tool out there for transition. And I'm getting the high sign because my time's up. So give me 2 seconds to plug my own silly little book and to tell you my niche in all of this is if you want to get hired with the federal government, talk to me, I can help you out. And I already put my link for LinkedIn in the chat. Standing by for questions.
All right. And Thomas, for your information, Kirk is going to be on our August Transition 30 call. So
You'll want to hear that.
Yeah, he's great. Dave, Skillbridge Master, talk to us.
Sir, thank you for having me. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dave Schantz. I am the DoD Skillbridge champion. I retired from the Navy at the end of February of 2020. Did a Skillbridge opportunity with my company, got hired on, and never stopped talking about it. I now lead my company's Skillbridge program. I've helped hundreds of service members take part in a Skillbridge opportunity, and I've helped scores of companies become approved and build out their program. If you're unfamiliar, the DoD Skillbridge program is primarily for transitioning active duty service members. Also, military spouses, veterans, Coast Guard, National Guard, and reservists are also eligible. But what it does is it allows you to take part in an unpaid internship or apprenticeship with the company of your choosing for up to 180 days with a high likelihood of being employed. So the DoD is going all in, and they want you to take some time, right, that TAD or temporary assigned duty to a company while you're still active duty, still collecting all of your pays, benefits, and allowances to go work with another company with a high likelihood of you being employed with that company at the end to help you land on your feet. Okay. So first thing I want you to do is figure out what it is you want to do and where you want to live. Okay. You got to start somewhere. I think this morning we've got something like 940 companies that are approved through the DoD. There are other companies that are approved specifically through the Army and the Air Force. So all in all, there's more than 1,000 companies that are approved. But in order to filter through all those opportunities, you got to first look inside yourself. Okay. The Department of Labor released a statistic about 15, 16 months ago that said something like 70%, 70, transitioning service members left their first job after the first year of getting out. And so what does that tell me? That tells me that service members are A, not leaning into who they are and what they want, or B, they're not looking into the companies that they're looking to join enough to vet them and think about actually working with them. Okay, so take some time, figure out who you are, what you want to do, where you want to live. Okay, networking. I can't stress enough about networking. Okay, more people get jobs these days because of who they know instead of what they know. Please, I think somebody said it on the call earlier. You're not going through this alone. There are so many people that are out here to help you. Leveraging your network, okay? Making friends with somebody who is in a position who may be able to help you in the future is the best way to help get your foot in the door, okay? When you apply, okay? So most recruiters don't look any further than 90 days in advance. For some of you that have a high security clearance and that you want to utilize that, you're able to start this process a little sooner, okay? But for the most part, spend your time networking first with all of those companies that you're interested in, okay? Also, network with the people that already work with that company doing what you want to do. An IT specialist with GDIT will not do the same job as an IT specialist with Lockheed Martin, okay? Both job descriptions will not read the same, even if they were working on the same contract, okay? So learn about the companies and the way you may be asked to do the job, okay? So when you're ready to apply, please do not apply to one opportunity, okay? In this space, 1 equals 0. If you apply to one, you're likely going to get nothing. So I want you to cast a wide net. Apply to as many companies as you want, okay? If you apply to 10, maybe 7 of them get back to you and maybe 4 of them give you an opportunity. Always, always, always put yourself in the driver's seat. If you apply to one, you may get nothing. Or if you apply to one, you may just get one. And then you're like, oh, well, I've already got this one, so maybe I'll just take this one, okay? Put yourself in the driver's seat. Apply to many. Hopefully you get a lot of responses and a lot of offers, and then you can line them out on the table and see which one is best for you and your family, okay? Put yourself in the best position possible, okay? On the DoD SkillBridge website, if you're not familiar, that search box that's above the first company, that's a keyword search box. Type in words like cyber, human resources, construction, okay? Whatever it is that you want to do, it's going to take those 900 companies and filter it down to just the companies that are offering the kind of opportunities that you want to do, okay? If you are interested in doing a SkillBridge opportunity with a company that's not approved, please reach out to me. I would love to help them, okay? I've helped scores of companies become approved and help them build out their program. I'd be happy to do so for the companies that you're interested in as well. And then lastly, every Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I host a live Q&A session to answer all of your SkillBridge questions. I invite everybody to join. I will see if I can post the link and then look forward to answering all of your questions. Thanks, Todd.
So Dave, you're going to be on in just a little bit, is what you're saying.
Yes, sir. In about an hour and a half. Yep.
Good. Okay. I know there's some in the chat, some questions on there. You may want to take a look at those. So I'm going to wrap it up, everybody. I appreciate, again, all your service. I believe I'm the only one of the presenters that is not a veteran. So this is quite a privilege for me to be on here. But I want to talk to you a little bit from the financial standpoint about the windows that you have right now. And there's one that is, there's a window that you have in transition that is closing very, very rapidly. And that's when it, in regards to your VGLI, you have SGLI right now. Your VGLI is something that is guaranteed, and maybe you need to take advantage of that. But if you think you can qualify for private life insurance, the reason your window is shutting very quickly is because you are getting ready to go through your VA evaluations. You need that for your VA disability rating. The problem is that once you start to get all of the issues that you've accrued through your service time, and you start to get those documented, it can become almost impossible, if not impossible, to get private life insurance. Why is that a big deal? VGLI becomes very expensive over time. And if you can even save $100 a month on VGLI, and let's say you invested that starting at 40 and at 65, with a 6% return of interest, you'd have almost $70,000 saved up in an account, just simply because you didn't allow that window to close. So talk with your spouse, talk with your significant other. Is VGLI something you want? Now is the time to begin to pursue that opportunity before your VA evaluations. Second window, SVP. There's a lot of people that have a lot of mixed feelings on SVP. Some people think it's the best thing. Some people think it's the worst thing. Do some of your research on that. For instance, if you take, I've heard anywhere from $250 to upwards of $500 for SVP. If you take that and you invest that, again, from 40 to 65 at $250 a month at 6% return, that could be $175,000 that, because you're not using SVP, is something that you can use for a down payment on a lake home or anything like that. So just think it through. Don't go into TAP and just check your box and say, this is what this is my answer for SVP. Do your homework, do your research. And finally, the window that I think is most important, that I see time and time again being referenced, especially from transitioning service members or those that are veteran. Get a mentor. Get a mentor like Dave when it comes to SkillBridge, like Brian when it comes to your VA loans, like Frank or Jane. But also, don't forget about on the financial side. Get a mentor, somebody that can partner with you, because, for instance, I just partnered up with an E5, retired after 20 years, but he had 15,000 in his TSP, and he was thinking it really doesn't make sense to get started. By the time that we walked him through some of the opportunities he has with his pension, with his VA disability, his wife had VA disability, and there's a lot of great opportunities as far as how that your pension and your VA disability it's all tax-free. There's some great opportunities. We were able to turn that family's future into something very, very significant, simply because he didn't go out and say, hey, I'm going to use my pension or I'm going to use my VA disability and buy a new boat. Nothing wrong with that. All of that is great stuff. But have a mentor that can help you to say, here's some things that you want to look through and watch through. Okay, that's my part. I'm going to finish up a little bit early, simply because I want to open it up, and I'm going to go ahead and allow everybody to unmute. And if you have any questions, we've got 10 minutes. Your time is for us, and we asked for 30 minutes, and I appreciate that you gave it. But does anybody have any questions that they want to ask anybody that hasn't been put in the chat?
I have a question. This is Teresa Rivers. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Teresa, you were telling Dave to preach, man. So
okay, so my question is, would you recommend moving the TSP to an IRA after retirement so we can keep contributing to it?
So you cannot continue to contribute to a TSP if that's your question. Once you're separated from the military, the reason a lot of people will do, Teresa, is transfer to the private, their own IRA, is for that reason, so that they can continue to contribute. And typically there's some they want to have their old TSP, but also, like Dave said, 80% of vets within 2 years have transitioned. So the more you transition, the more old 401ks you have sitting around. And so it's just a good idea to at least look at transitioning to your own private IRA. That way you don't have those leftover, those old 401ks with a couple $1,000s just sitting out there, and you lose track of where they're at. So good question.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify that I am not Michael Horton.
Wow. Well, you know.
My name is Deborah Drain. I'm the Transition Services Manager at the Coffee Bunker in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Michael Horton is our Executive Director, and he actually forwarded me the link for this meeting. And I'm so very glad that I am able to attend today. I've gained a lot of information. Dave Schantz, we actually made a presentation to TARA, which is the Tulsa Area Human Resources Association yesterday. My presentation actually was all about SkillBridge. And I've learned a lot about SkillBridge. I encourage each one of them to enroll in it and get their companies some free employers for up to 6 months. So
Awesome. Thank you very much for being
very
out.
much. Yeah.
And if you hook up with me,
Go ahead.
I will send you the links that you can hand them for their VA tools that they're not going to get during transition. Take care.
All right.
Thank you.
Anybody else? And thank you for that. These presenters are a wealth of knowledge. So now is your time, because they not only have the time, but they've also dedicated themselves to a Zoom call. So if you have a question, now is your time, because Jane's hard to get in touch with. She doesn't like to have her photos posted anywhere. So you got to get it. You got to get her when you can.
Yeah, when I'm working with widows in the Philippines and a veteran in Colorado, sometimes I get a little crazy.
I understand.
Take care.
All right. Anybody else? Well, listen,
Hey,
yeah, go ahead.
hello, everybody. David, I'll hit you up on LinkedIn for the steel SkillBridge possible. I'm on leave, that's why I'm a little scruffy right now. But thanks everybody for participating, and I appreciate your information today. I do want to just put a plug in for USL Pathfinder, everybody. It's currently active duty transitioning. That's a big tool you can use for transitioning. Everybody, if you're not aware of that, it gives you a whole checklist of items you got to fulfill for your transition, including the VSO POC. That's local in the area. I'm in Hampton Roads, Virginia right now. There's a whole bunch of good stuff on there you can learn also through that program. So my counselor in Norfolk is Katie Bush, and she's awesome. Dave, we talk on LinkedIn from time to time. Of course, I go Tony Barber. You see me from time to time on there. So I do want one question. Frank, what does Dream Again LLC do specifically?
Specifically, I'm a business coach. I coach entrepreneurs in empowerment and encouragement to build business, and keynote speaker, and I do interpersonal communications, facilitation, and culture change management.
All right, thank you everybody for your time today.
Yeah. Well, Tony, thanks so much. We are, just for information, we are trying to get a USO rep on, but I know they've got a few more guidelines and some of that they've got to jump through. So unless somebody else has anything else, I will be sending out an email recapping everything. Appreciate y'all's time. Appreciate your service. And if you have any other questions, connect up with us on LinkedIn. Thanks, everybody.
One
Thanks for putting this
suggestion,
together,
Todd,
Todd.
Yeah,
for the
yeah, go
young
ahead.
folks out there, when you're coming home, find some place where your veterans gather.
Yeah.
Whether it's Team Red, White, and Blue, whether it's just the local coffee shop once a month, don't do this without your brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Good.
Todd,
Good-
thank you
good
for
wo-
putting this together.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Todd.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I hope it was a benefit to all involved. So, all right, y'all have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks, everybody, for participating.
Absolutely. Bye-bye.